I just tested Sora 2, and together we'll see if it's really worth it. Plus, I'll give you the exact process to access it from anywhere in the world. Just to remind you, Sora is OpenAI's generative artificial intelligence that allows you to create videos. And we've seen some incredibly impressive results from Sora 2 on the internet. And personally, I'm always cautious because on the homepage of the first Sora, there were some beautiful videos, but the actual results were really disastrous. I'd even say it was the worst video generation AI that ever existed. So does Sora 2 actually work? We're going to watch a few videos, look at the new features, but most importantly, I'll show you some examples I made myself, and together we'll see that it's truly impressive. But of course, before anything else, I imagine you also want to try out Sora 2, and it's not that easy to get access to it. As for me, how did I get access? Well, there's a fantastic student from our school community, that is, from our forum and training, who shared their access code, which then allowed all the community members to get access. I'll leave the link to the school in the description. Now, if you're not part of our training program, which focuses on AI and video, here's the process to follow. First of all, you can't access Sora 2 unless you connect from the United States or Canada. So personally, I use the VPN that's linked in the description. It allows me to connect from pretty much anywhere. So this is essential. If you want to access it now, you need to connect with a VPN. Basically, for those who have never used a VPN, instead of connecting from France and indicating that you're in France and having your data routed here, you connect to a remote server, for example, in Canada or the United States, which then retrieves the information for you and transmits it back to you. It's actually super useful if you have passwords, if you're into cryptocurrency, and especially if you work outside your home, away from a secure connection, to keep yourself safe. Some people also use it to access certain websites. In short, you install a VPN. Personally, I recommend the one in the description. It's inexpensive, highly professional, and super fast. So I've been using it for 3 years, but honestly, any VPN will work. Next, you need to connect either to the United States or to Canada. Once that's done, you'll need to go to the Sora website. The Sora website is sora.chatgpt.com, and at that point you'll be asked for an invitation code to be able to log in. Each person who creates an account on Sora will then be able to invite 4 other people with the code that's located right here under Invite Friends. What I'm suggesting here is super simple. Just post a Sora code directly in the comments, and as soon as someone signs up using that code in the comments, that person will also share their own invitation code in the comments to invite others. This way, this video will allow all of you to access Sora, and there will always be codes available. I'm counting on you to be considerate, and as soon as you're invited, share your code in the comments, which will allow more people to be invited each time. And also, to prevent any misuse, please note that each code is always 6 letters or 6 numbers, and there's no need to buy anything or click on any link. So thank you to the whole community for playing along. This way, everyone will be able to access Sora. Now, what about testing Sora? I've done a lot of testing, especially for my anime, but also real-world tests by providing images and prompts. And there's also something really interesting, the cameos. I'll explain what that is a bit later. When you go directly to the Sora website, you can see public videos, and all these videos always have sound and voice. And I have to say the voice is pretty well done and the sound is quite well interpreted. Let's listen to a few examples together.
At the BBC's research laboratories in West London today, engineers unveiled Sora 2, a new computer capable of producing moving pictures from written instructions alone. Using magnetic tape and thousands of valves, the machine interprets a description typed on a teleprinter and within minutes composes a shh. How much dedicated RAM should I need to a turbo if I'm going to run a server?
Pikachu. Cute.
So that alone is already very impressive. You may notice that there are comments on the right side when you click on a video, and there is also the possibility to remix the videos. It's simply also OpenAI's intention to create a social network made up entirely of videos generated by Sora. And yes, in this regard, they know their AI is powerful and that, going forward, content creators will inevitably generate content using AI, which is already happening. So they're getting ahead by envisioning a social network where there will only be AI-generated videos, and these will have as much impact, if not more, than videos that were actually created by people. And as you can see, there are a huge variety of things, and when it comes to animation, it's truly impressive what you can do. So as usual, these are some of the videos featured on Sora's homepage. But now, are the results just as good when you generate your own videos? Well, the answer is almost yes. It's been a long time since I've been blown away by the results of an AI video generator. Because when you use VO3, the results are really poor and you only start to see something decent after iterating dozens or even hundreds of times. Here, in just 1 or 2 tries, you can actually get results like the ones shown on the homepage. So, I'm going to show you that. To generate a video, it's actually very simple. You just enter your prompt right here, and you can also choose to add an image or not to start the scene. And then you have what are called cameos here. If I click on it, I can simply summon a character, like here with the @ symbol and the character's name, and they'll appear directly in the scene. With the iOS app, you can create your own cameo, so your own version of yourself, right here, and start animating yourself and making awesome videos. As for the settings, for now, you can only choose between portrait and landscape modes. There's no option to remove the audio, adjust the quality, or set the duration of the video. The quality is lower, but that's not really an issue. The very first test I did was this one here, and it really blew me away. I simply provided an image with a prompt in French, just a few sentences for the character to say something and for something to happen. And it generated this for me.
You'll never catch me, huh?
And as you can see here, I really gave a random prompt just to see the result. The sound is actually pretty good, the voice and the intention behind it are excellent, and the richness of the scenes as well as the graphic consistency and the character are truly impressive. Especially these 3 scenes here and the dynamic movement. Of course, at the end, there's a character who doesn't serve any purpose, but just with these 3 scenes alone, I'm really satisfied. So, as you can see, for now, there's the little Sora logo that appears everywhere. That's just how it is. We're in a testing phase. Later on, of course, we'll be able to remove it, but for now, that's not the case. So, I iterated several times by giving different sentences, by giving different prompts. And you can see that the quality is still there and that it really respects what I ask of it. And honestly, it can understand complex scenes with soldiers in them, with robots, with perspective, with the placement of important elements, especially this big purple door that you also see in different places. It interprets everything it doesn't know from an image and manages to create continuity from it. And then of course, sometimes there are a few misses, like here for example, where it generated almost a static image for me with just 2 or 3 movements at the end, even though that's not what I asked for. But that's really not a big deal at all. I mean, that's just one generation out of the other 6 that worked really well. Whereas usually when you generate videos using artificial intelligence, you have to go through 4 or 5 videos before you manage to find one that you more or less like. I also wondered about combat type movements, and it's actually done really well. And you can see when there are impacts, the camera really shakes at the same moment. You can really feel the hit. So sometimes yes, there are mistakes. At the end, you can see that the character has 3 arms. Here, it's fine. And then here, you can see there's another arm that appears. But as I said before, it's really not a big deal because the basic result is actually very good. And I can already use just the first 3 shots here. I also wondered about giving it an image directly with an empty prompt. And you can see that here too, the whole image is super coherent. It understood that it's an anime, that it needs an anime style, anime shots, and it completely improvised this scene for me.
Hurry up. You're leaving already.
Don't turn back, keep going.
So really rushed.
And it's also impressive in terms of the sound and the voice because I really feel like I'm hearing an anime. Maybe an anime from the 2000s, but in any case, it's already absolutely amazing. Well, and of course, I didn't just test the anime side and give it an image each time. Here are 3 other very interesting tests. In this test here, I didn't give it any image at all, but I gave it a carefully crafted prompt where I wanted a cute scene between Snorlax and Pikachu. And you can see, sure, the eye here is a bit poorly defined, and at the end, once again, Pikachu gets split in 2, but everything else is already incredibly impressive and usable. Next, I asked myself whether I could very easily, with minimal effort, recreate viral videos we've seen on the internet. So I asked it to create those famous surveillance cameras, filming a trampoline with rabbits jumping on it. And as you can see, it works incredibly well. One thing that's super interesting and might seem totally silly at first is that you see the text here and the way the seconds tick by naturally, it's incredible. Because AI has a big problem when it comes to handling text and consistency, and here we managed to get text that's clean, realistic, with a natural increment of the seconds. So it's really very clever. And then, to finish, I wondered, could we create a somewhat emotional conversation between two completely realistic characters without using any images? So I asked Sora to generate this scene with the lines here. Do you remember our first meeting here 60 years ago as if it were yesterday, and I love you even more today, with a scene that's a bit emotional?
Do you remember our first meeting here 60 years ago?
As if it were yesterday.
And I love you even more today.
And it's crazy because it followed everything from A to Z, and when you look at it, even if the quality isn't amazing, everything is very stable in terms of realistic images. You can see that the images are well defined, nothing changes, there's the right number of fingers, there's a beautiful expression, there's emotion, even the fineness of the hair is impressive. That's something I could criticize, however, about the animated part, where sometimes if you click on certain videos, you'll see the lines tremble just a little bit. You can see here it's shaking, you can tell it's a bit unstable, and that might be one of the only criticisms I can make about Sora 2 at the moment. And in terms of generation speed, it's actually extremely fast. So, does Sora 2 live up to its promises? Absolutely. And it's actually one of the only AIs that has shown demos that are very consistent with what it can actually do. For now, everything is unlimited and free to access, but the quality isn't necessarily there because you'll only get 480p, but that's not a problem because you can use algorithms that will recalculate the image and output it in 4K. And I'm sure that the final version of Sora will allow you to generate full HD and also have much more control. That's it for Sora 2. I hope you enjoyed this video. I invite you to use the code below this video to access Sora 2, and of course to share your code as soon as you have access to Sora 2 so that everyone can use Sora 2. I'm really looking forward to seeing your creations. And in the meantime, take care of yourselves and your projects. Ciao!